Testing. All right. Well, I trust that you had a good Sabbath lunch or meal, and I will do handstands, I'll do jumping jacks, whatever I need to keep you awake. I want you to forgive me that I don't have a tie on. It's Sabbath afternoon, and I've been standing pretty much, and I wanted to be comfortable. Is that okay? Or you want me to go put my tie on? Yes, go put it on right now. All right, I've been having fun while I'm here. So let's talk a little bit about the territory that the North American Division serves as we get into our study for this afternoon. Our territory includes Bermuda, Canada, Guam, Micronesia, and of course the U.S. And so we have 9 unions and 1 union mission. And they're going to go by kind of quickly, but you'll see the territories pop up here. Atlantic Union, Columbia, Lake Union, Mid-America, North Pacific, Pacific, Church in Canada, Southern Union, Southwestern Union, Guam and Micronesia, and it'll blow it up for us there. And of course, there they are. And that's the territory that the North American Division serves. And so we are up here somewhere. Stewardship and the mission of the church. Of course, we saw this slide this morning. We get our marching orders from Jesus himself. And that's what makes this so significant. He said for us to go, and that's why we have a worldwide church. And and you'll see our mission, the NAD mission in a minute, a message of hope and wholeness. And the North American Church mission is to reach North America and the world with a distinctive Christ-centered Seventh-day Adventist message of hope and wholeness. Our core values are revival and transformation, and education for discipleship, alignment within the church, community outreach and evangelism, healthy leadership and management. And so for Stewardship Ministries, our mission for our department is, first of all, funding hope and wholeness. Imagine the possibilities. And so our mission is to inspire God's people through relationship with Him and partner with Him to fund the message of hope and wholeness. Mission objectives are 3 lead measures. Number 1, to motivate members through media at the level of story that opens the heart to the Spirit's influence. To educate members through redefining stewardship, and that's what we're doing, redefining stewardship and its impact on their lives in the light of eternity. And implement stewardship through coaching, training, collaboration, and the development of resources. And so again, this is my business card. There were some of them out there on the table this morning. If you got one, you have my cell and all of that. My email address is there. If you want to take a picture of that, you can. And that's how. And then our website, of course, at the bottom, nadstewardship.org. I'm going to talk about a few resources that we have before we get started so that you'll see what's available. If you wanted to access our resources page, you could hold your phone up to this particular QR code, and it'll take you to our resources page where there is a lot of resource material there for pastors and members. Ed Reed, who was the stewardship director before John Matthews, and then was Benita Shields. Benita Shields was before me, then John Matthews, then Ed Reed. And we have Faith and Finance. If you wanted to do a financial seminar for a small group, There is the participants guide and also the facilitators guide that's downloadable right there from our resources page. And then on our YouTube channel, Ed Reed's videos are there that go along with the facilitator and the participants guide. So it's all there, and it's free to go over some of these same principles that I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk to you about this afternoon are things that you already know about. There's a little teaching didactic called Repetition Deepens the Impression. Ellen White uses it in this way: we need to teach and preach in a cycle of truth. Repetition deepens the impression. Of course, you should know that our Sabbath School quarterlies are repeated. Every so many years, they repeat them, about every 7 to 8 years or so. And how do I know this? Because I have Sabbath School quarterlies that go all the way back for about 25, 30 years. I save them. The reason being is because there are many sermonic or teaching tools. Somebody has already researched the topic. The references are there. And I never forget when I started pastoring in Birmingham, Elder, I had just gotten to the church, had been there more than a month, and I was studying the lesson for that week. And on Thursday morning, I'll never forget, I got up early to do my worship, and then I went into the lesson. And that particular week, we were studying prophecy, and that subject was the mark of the beast. And as I was studying, the Lord said, "This is what I want you to preach on Sabbath." Again, you know, that proto-kairotic living, there's talking to God and Him talking back to you, and you're communicating. And I'm saying, I just got here. You know how much preparation, how much you're supposed to do before you preach this? You know, there I go, talking to, and he said, yeah, and this is how I want you to do it. You've already announced your sermon title for this coming, because I always printed it in the bulletin a month in advance. This is, you know, what's coming. And he said, I want you to take that sermon into the pulpit. And he's telling me this in my mind because I really don't want the enemy to know what you're going to say. You've already put it out there what your title is and all of that, but I don't want the enemy to know. I want you to preach this. And so we were just transferring. We had a house in Huntsville, Alabama, and some of the charts that I would use were there. And I said, okay. I said, now I've got to drive to Huntsville about 90 miles. Well, hour and a half drive. I don't know how many kilometers, but an hour and a half drive. And I said, my wife is going to want to know, why am I leaving at 10 o'clock at night to go to Huntsville and then come back? And I can't say anything. So all I said was, honey, I got to go to Huntsville and I'll be back. Okay. What? So I drove up there, got all my charts, you know, that I'm sure the enemy's figuring out or trying to get close to what I'm doing. Didn't verbalize anything. I just grabbed the charts, took a nap, then drove back early Sabbath morning, about 5 o'clock, got there at 7, and went through everything, got up in the pulpit, and did exactly what the Lord told me to do, preached the mark of the beast, and 5 people joined the church. Yeah. That's why it's good. Well, I'm just saying, I was talking about the Sabbath school lesson and how those things are already, you know, ferreted out and somebody studied it, and so you can expand on them. And so, but anyway, the point that got me all the way out there is the fact that Ellen White told us to teach, preach in a cycle of truth, which means that we need to repeat the cardinal messages that we have, because repetition deepens the impression. And so if you go on here and download whatever, the finance information. And the information I'm going to share with you are items that you already know, but repetition deepens the impression. I don't know if you've ever heard of a gentleman called Dave Ramsey. He says when we deal with finances, 80% of it is behavior and 20% of it is head knowledge. That means we have to do it. So some of the web stuff that we have, we're on Instagram for that generation. So we're pushing out messages for those who are on that platform. Also, formerly known as Twitter, it's called X now, and we don't know how long we're going to be on there. But anyway, same thing, pushing out messages of stewardship. And then we have Stewardship Jack for ages 3 to 7. Jack was an actual dog that John had. It was his dog. And he used to take it to the conventions, take the dog, and the kids loved it, you know. And I remember calling John about a year ago because I was getting his wisdom, because he and I had become friends over the years. And he was a little down that day, and he said, my dog died today. And I said, wow. You know, and you never know how much you get attached to an animal till you have one. But he's got another one that's a Labradoodle, a little cute little thing. And he's brown. He's brown. He's not black like this one. And so John showed me it. We were on Zoom. And but that's the inspiration came from him having the pet. Him and his wife wrote a series called Stewardship Jack for children. As a matter of fact, there may be some of those coming. We send you a package. There are a few DVDs coming, and whatever pastor wants to do with those, you can have those. But they are for ages 3 to 7. If you want to teach your children stewardship principles through Stewardship Jack, we have a whole slate of those on Advent Source. All right. Also, we have 1-minute stewardship videos if you're doing a stewardship segment. They're about no more than 2 minutes, some of them, and it's holistic stewardship. So they can be shown at a segment in the worship experience. Resources, if anybody wants to become certified in stewardship, you can go to Adventist Learning Community. There are CEUs you can gain. There's levels 1 through 3 right now. I have commissioned, by the grace of God, Dr. Roland Hill, and we have 3 young, when I say young people, they're in their 40s, young adults, working with him to develop levels 4 and 5. When Benita Shields, who was my predecessor, when she left, she only served 8 months before they made her a VP. When she left, they hadn't developed 4 and 5, and so that was commissioned to me. And so that's what we've been working on. Hopefully levels 4 and 5 will be done. But if you finish level 3, we'll give you a certificate. And of course, it's for a local church conference, stewardship directors, pastors, and collegians. It will give you great information. This is something that the whole family can enjoy. John commissioned this. Rich Aguilera was the writer, director for this movie called The Mysterious Note. It is on YouTube, and it has 6.4 million views. Encourage TV grabbed it. Rich Aguilera, who was the writer and the director, he pitched it to Encourage TV. They grabbed it. They pushed it out on all their media outlets or whatever. And, of course, it's on YouTube, and it's gotten popular. And when I say popular, I mean it has had 6 million views since 2020. All right? And it's a kind of cute little movie. It focuses on young people. Those 3 right there in the front are kind of the main characters. That gentleman on the side there, runs a hardware store, and he closes the store on the Sabbath. Okay, and this gentleman on the far end, you see, he got his hands all crossed. He's kind of the antagonist, and he visits the hardware store owner, and he's complaining because how can you have your business closed on one of the busiest days of the week? And so he shares the principles by which he does that. So that kind of sets that up. And the kids, they go on a mystery hunt, and I'll just leave it there. We have Dollars and Cents, another children's book that teaches stewardship principles. And then we have Smoky Mountain Rescue. Pastor has some of those in his office. This is, number one, it's two things. It's a book, and it's story-based for children, and it's also been converted to 8-part award-winning web mini-series. The gentleman who did this for the Stewardship Ministries Department, received what's called a Telly Award for his work. And each part is about 7-8 minutes or less. And there are teaching guides to go with each part. And it's designed for young people, children and a little higher. And this is a little taste of it here. Nathan is at Southern Adventist University, and that's the award that he won in 2020 for producing that series for the Stewardship Ministries Department. When I came on the scene, there was a last little bit, a piece that I had to do for this, and I was to pay for the tail end of it, the last part of it. It's very nice. When I started watching it, I wanted to go to the next part. I think I watched about 6 of them in a row. But, I mean, it's something that you can watch with your kids. If there's teaching didactic goes along with it. It can be done in Sabbath school, children's Sabbath school, adventures, whatever. And it's there. It's available to you. That is the website, SmokyMountainRescue.org. A few more resources. If you go to our website, there's some articles that I've written. Stewardship, Revolutionary Generosity, and Life Management. You'll definitely want to read that one. How to Create a Missional Budget. That's more so for pastors, treasurers, and finance committee people. And the New Normal in Stewardship. That's an article that Ministry Magazine asked me to write for them. And then Stewardship Marginalized. Just at the beginning of the pandemic, some thoughts that the Lord had given me related to how stewardship has become marginalized. And so my response to that is written there. So, year-round stewardship. Ben Maxon, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's a great stewardship person in a book called Strategic Church Finances, which I think you have a couple of those on your desk. In the introduction, year-round stewardship is a concept at the heart of a congregational stewardship strategy. Stewardship cannot be limited to an occasional program or weekend seminar. Instead, it needs to become a philosophy and style of ministry which permeates the life of the church. This approach to stewardship provides a foundation for spiritual growth of a congregation and a balanced ministry program. As members accept and integrate the lordship of Jesus Christ into their lives, they mature and become involved in active ministry. See, this is the balanced approach to stewardship beyond just thinking about tithe and offering. So, during every phase of the great controversy between good and evil, the Lord has provided divine insight, wisdom, and guidance. When the pen of inspiration has been diligently heeded, the church has always what? Grown, and what else? Increased in strength. Today we find ourselves in time's last hour, with the devil as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. That is true. Inspiration helps us to understand the great adversary's plan. And believe me, he has a plan for every one of us every single day. As the people of God approach the perils of the last days, Satan holds earnest consultation with his angels as to the most successful plan of overthrowing our faith. You are the frontline warriors. Yeah, you are. So, generosity reset, and of course, we've shared all that, and this is such a beautiful edifice that you have here, and of course, embrace new beginnings with every day with our prayer life. Unleash the love code. If you love me, keep the commandments, and today we're going to talk about crushing debt. We talked about the 7 T's, the secrets, 7 secrets of generosity. And so one of the 4 pillars that we talked about this morning is his treasure. All right? The spiritual side of that, relationship with God through the tithe and the offering, we covered that. The practical side of that is personal finance, money management, debt relief, and building wealth. So let's explore now this practical component. Managing the 80 to 85% left after tithe and offering. The reason I say 80 to 85% because if you're on a 10 plus 10, then 80% is left to manage the household budget, or 85% if you do 10 plus 5. Interesting. You can be blessed because you are returning and also giving. But you can be in a financial mess. You say, how can that be? The Lord could be blessing you because you are returning and giving, but you could still be in a financial mess because of the simple principles of managing what's left and doing that prudently. His treasure. With Jesus, we can build generosity even, you said I could roam now. Does the camera, okay. I feel freer when I can be out there where the people are. With Jesus, we can build generosity even with money and learn how to breathe in tough times. The reason that we approach stewardship the way we do is so that we can learn to breathe instead of clench. Because we present it in the relationship format, which makes it easier to understand. As time draws near to a close and the end of all things is at hand, we must what? What else? And why? Because the Lord is coming. All right, now we are the second coming church, aren't we? Second coming, second coming, second coming, second coming, second coming. And to all else, the Lord is coming so I can kick everything else to the curb. Don't have to worry about the budget because the Lord is coming. So what? I'm in debt. The Lord is coming. Wipe all that out. But this text shows us that the Lord has another thought on that. As he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds, he said unto them, what? Occupy until I come. So in other words, manage life. We shared the 7 T's, holistic view of stewardship. Build generosity. In other words, until I crack the clouds, there's something to do. Of course, we evangelize. Of course, we go out and do the mission of the church. But as far as it comes to your personal finance, occupy, manage life until I come. So, the generosity code, if you love me, what? This is the basis for everything. Yes, again, God has our back even when it comes to money. Unleash the code. So building generosity, which means, yes, you can win with money. Anybody ever heard of this lady, Osceola McCarty? Well, she surprised the University of Southern Mississippi with her philanthropy when she donated $150,000. from her savings to help the university to help struggling students. We will come back after these messages. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in. How did she do it? Well, you can win, unleash your God-given financial potential. And this is what Michael Jordan said, since you talked about basketball and our one-time stint in winning a championship in anything. I'm a Browns fan, but we haven't won anything. Okay, I'll get off of that. This is very important. Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen. Others make it happen. This is the 80% behavior piece. Nike says what? Just do it. Just get up and do it. What are some financial issues facing families today? Healthcare costs, these are just a few. Too much debt, not enough money to pay debts, lack of money, low wages, college expenses, cost of owning, renting a home, high cost of living. How much time do we have? Okay, all right. High cost of living, inflation. Okay, is that the clock up there? Okay. Retirement savings, taxes, unemployment, loss of a job, pension plan, lack of savings. And so there they are at the table. Are you committed to faithfulness? Here's a video.
Mortgage, utilities, tithe, car insurance, phone.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
We're already behind a month in the mortgage, right?
Well, Sam, what would you like for me to do? I could hold back on the utilities, or...
I'm not trying to make you upset.
Well, Sam, you know what? I'll take care of it.
Okay, I'll just go to bed.
What are you gonna do? You gotta give up something. What can I give up? Mortgage, utilities, tithe? Sacrifice my tithe. Can't give up on tithe, Ray. You gotta do something. Do something. Hey, hun.
What will you do? Will you sacrifice and put God first? Or will you sacrifice eternity? I did this same seminar, or similar, not the exact same, but similar, in Birmingham, Alabama. There's several churches in Birmingham, so I'm going to tell you which one. But the head deacon approached me in the afternoon after we were done, and he said that he was struggling with whether to return the tithe or pay a bill. Just what you just saw there. And after at the end of the day, we had gone through the 2 earlier seminars, and then in the afternoon, and he said, I'm going to return the tithe, and I'm just going to trust God. People, it's real. Why do people normally have money problems? The following are 3 main reasons people have money problems, and likely in the following order of frequency. Many people, couples, are financially illiterate. That doesn't mean that they're dumb. It just means that they haven't been taught the principles of money management. As a matter of fact, I think it should be required at all educational institutions to teach some form of money management to all ages. But it's interesting that it's not offered. It's like, well, you just pick this up on your own. Or you're supposed to learn it at home. Parents are supposed to teach you. Well, if you came up like I did, my mom was not a good money manager. I came up in a broken home. My dad was a good money manager. I didn't know that. The only reason I found that out is my sisters wanted to find their mother and their brother. And they found us. And we were members of the Adventist church by that time. And later they became members of the Adventist church. My one sister just retired after 30 years of teaching in the academy. And she has 3 wonderful sons, my nephews. Her husband is a pastor. And my other sister, she wasn't as committed, but she did love the Lord. And she died here a few years back. And they told me how they learned how to manage money from my dad. My mom, we lived from check to check. How I learned about saving is when I stayed in a foster home. My mother got sick. She was ill for several months. And I had to stay in a foster home. Her prayer was that I would be with somebody who was a Christian. I ended up staying in a home. They were Methodist. And there were 2 ladies there. One was called Big Mama. The other was called Little Mama. Big Mama was the grandmother type, and Little Mama was her daughter. And there was money that would come for me because they were taking care of me, and I had foster brothers. And when that money came, they would say, okay, you need to put this in savings. And so they took me down to Corey Methodist Church, and I opened up a savings account, and they had a, right there in the church. And so I was learning that. And when I went back home with Mom and her thinking, she was doing the best she could. And I take my hat off to her for that. But when she got in a jam, who came to the rescue with my little savings account? Of course. And so I grew up with that genre of understanding money management, so I learned it the hard way. And the hard way is not the good way, but if I could teach anybody to grab this stuff and become a millionaire, then God's work is done. They were simply never taught the biblical principles of money management. There's hope. It'd be nice if you could get it at the schools. Some schools have started offering it. Greed and selfishness. They live what? They are not what? Willing to live in, drive, or wear what they can really afford. Many of these people also feel that they're just too poor to tithe. Consequently, they live their lives without God's promised wisdom and blessing. And so, number 3 is an unfortunate tragedy. Serious illness without adequate insurance, being abandoned by a spendthrift marriage partner, a natural disaster, and Lord knows we've had plenty of those. A major financial loss, not of your own doing. There have been so many disasters, and insurance companies have just gone through the roof with increasing premiums and not wanting to cover certain things. I mean, it's almost like you can't win for losing, Enough about the problems. What can we do to unleash our financial potential? Learn all you can about money management and practice what applies to your family situation. Read books, attend seminars, talk with those who know what's going on. Pray for God's wisdom and blessing. Ask God to transform our hearts from selfishness to love, the love formula. When we become unselfish, we are ready for heaven. In the Desire of Ages 641, chapter 70, the least of these, my brethren. 7 simple steps to unleash your financial potential. And this will help us crush debt. Number 1, is what? Have a written plan for spending. That's a nice way of saying what? What? You don't like that word, do you? Nobody wants to be constrained by a budget. No, please, not that, not the B word. Just call it then a financial spending plan. Because you can adjust a plan, can't you? If things don't go according to whatever you expected this month, then you can make an adjustment as long as it's a reasonable adjustment. But I'll put it on the screen, household budget, because it does call for accountability. All right. Create a budget. Most people go into debt because their outgo is what? More than their. Many of us have no idea what we're spending. If you ask someone to make a list of how much is spent in a week, they'll give you a rough estimate. But does that include a daily lunch of whatever it would be? I stopped at a fast food place to get a nice meatless sandwich. And when they gave me the price, I said, what? Are you kidding me? I can go to the supermarket, buy the bread, buy the stuff, and just make it myself for what you're charging me. So, does that include stopping at the store, buying trinkets, and many of us just buy stuff, or going? Now, there's nothing wrong if you have mad money in the budget. That's money that you can just spend on anything, all right? But sometimes we just spend, or going through the drive-through for that unhealthy $5 drink. Study. Anybody speak French in here? Oui. Parlez-vous français? Je m'appelle Michel. Okay, that's the extent of it. Those receipts are in French. That's why I said that. Study your receipts to figure out where it's all going. Be honest with yourself. But even in French, I recognize Cocoa Krispies. All right. Oreos. Okay. So create a budget and a strategy to live within that budget. If you have debts, allocate how much you can pay on those debts and then end your slavery sooner than later. Very significant. And we're going to watch about 3 minutes of video. Now, this is Ed Reed, developing a spending plan, but we're going to watch one from Stupid Money, John Matthews, on our YouTube channel. And this video is probably about 27 minutes, but we're only going to watch about 3 to 5 minutes of it. But you can watch the whole thing. You can go to Ed Reed, watch his whole thing about developing a spending plan. The same thing is true here with John. So let's look at it.
What is a budget?
Well, a budget is, like John said, a plan, but it's a written plan that manages your finances.
So good old-fashioned pen and paper?
Pen and paper, or you can go to a computer. You know, there are apps. There are lots of ways to do a budget. Even your bank, you know, they have ways that you can go online and just do your budget. Simple.
Yeah, we'd like to even walk you through a budget.
Oh, will you?
Right in front of us. Here, put it up on the screen. And Vivian's going to walk us through this thing.
Yeah, a monthly budget. But before you get started with your budget, Diana, you must begin first with figuring out what your expenses are. And
How do I do that?
How best to do that is to get your receipts, keep your receipts for 1 month, for 30 days.
Okay, I can do that.
You can do that.
This is
Put
how you
those
get started.
receipts maybe in a shoebox or in envelopes, whatever. But you're going to be able to see exactly where you're spending your money. And there are going to be some surprises. You're going to be real surprises how you're and do it with your credit cards as well as your cash. So you want to see how you're spending your money. And after you do that, then you're going to go and you're going to put that information into a written budget. You're going to put everything down, and then you're going to be able to see where your money's going. You're going to put them into 2 different categories.
Got it.
What's the first thing we're going to do?
The first thing you're going to do, though, is you're going to look at your income, because you got to know if I'm making enough money to afford all this stuff, or what am I actually living on. So you're going to look at your income, and your income is going to be, you know, of course, what you're making. But do you take home all that money you're making?
I don't, unfortunately.
No, you don't. Some of it you got to give to Uncle Sam, you know, and to other places.
Right.
So after all of that is taken out, that's called your net spendable income, the money that you can actually spend.
Have you heard of that text, Matthew 6:33?
I have, but seek ye first.
Seek ye first. How does that work with a budget?
With the budget, tithe. Are you going to give back to God? So first off, you're going to give back to God. And so seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. After you return back to God, that first 10%, the rest of it he's going to take care of.
So what is this row of numbers right here?
This row of numbers he's speaking of is talking about the various percentages that you're going to allocate to the various expenses.
So this is a budget based on percentages.
It's a budget based on percentages.
But if I don't have enough money to fund all these at that level, what do I do?
You have two levels of expenses: fixed expenses, which is what? House payments,
Okay.
your mortgage,
Utilities.
and then your not your utilities, those are variable because they change from time to time. So from your fixed expenses, you're going to put in those numbers, and then your variables are the expenses that will change. That's where you can make changes if you don't have enough money.
So Vivian, how long is this type of budget going to take me?
It's only going to take you about an hour to an hour and a half to put this information in, John.
Now, what do you do for a living? You're an accountant, right?
I'm an accountant.
I'm a preacher. Is that because I can download it, or can I come to your office and say, will you help me with this?
Yes, John. I will help anyone because this is so important. So yes, you can download it, but it will only take you about an hour and a half, because you've already done the pre-work. You've put those receipts together, so you have all that done. So you've already done the pre-work.
It's all input at this point.
So how often should I look at this?
You should look at this at the end of each month, because you want to know if you're right on track with what you've already planned. You know, you've set your plan, this is what I want to do, but at the end of the month, you need to compare to see if you're really doing it.
So it's no good if I do it once and don't check in?
No, it's no good to just put it in and not, you know, look at it, because you've got to see if you're on track. Because sometimes we see those fancy things we want to buy, but if you don't have it in the budget, you shouldn't buy it.
In light of those fancy things, how much should I save?
You should save. That's a good question.
Very important.
Because it's very important to save. You should give back to God first, and then pay yourself first. 10 to 15%. Do you think that's possible?
I think it's absolutely possible.
I believe it is also. 10 to 15% should be your savings. Now, if you can't do that, some of that is paying off credit card debts. So you're going to put a percentage toward that. You're going to put a percentage towards just saving, a percentage toward retirement. So that's all included in that. So if you don't have enough for all of that right now, you make sure you make certain that you do it later.
Cool. Diana, if you want this, go to our website. You can download it.
And what's that?
nadstewardship.org.
nadstewardship.org.
And that's true, and it's still there. As a matter of fact, that sheet is available if you go to our website, nadstewardship.org, and up at the top there in that little banner section, it says Stupid Money TV. You click on that, and it takes you to this page. It takes you to a page that says resources, and you click on resources, and it takes you to this page. And then you'll see sample worksheet and roll-up method. Two things you can download: the monthly budget spending plan. So number one for our simple steps is to get organized, develop a budget, have a written spending plan. Number two, what? I know the dinner's kicking in a little louder. All together, choir. Spend less than you earn. All right. Determined to live how? Now, there's some Bible to back this up. Don't you think I'm making up something? Live within your income. Proverbs 21:20, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man or woman does what? Spendeth it up. Now, somebody defined what the Bible says, or the Bible definition for a fool is one that does not believe in God. So we should be as wise and not manage money like those people who do not believe in God. A believer will save. Even if you're employed and you have a way that they can take money out for you because you're not good with that, then do it. Everything that we have, I've asked them to take it out. So I don't have to worry about that. Save a little every pay period, starting with only $50, but not just for your retirement. Very significant, very important. Please make sure you put something aside for retirement. Please. 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 And put something aside for emergencies. We're going to talk about, while I'm there, let me just say this. A properly funded emergency fund is at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. Is that right? Yes. As a matter of fact, you got people probably right here who can help you with some of this. All right? Seek them out. Open a savings account. You say, well, Pastor, I don't have no money or much. You can open it with $50 to $100. All right? Open it in a different bank. This is significant because then all you're doing is putting money in that bank to save, and it makes you feel like you're putting something away. It gives you a sense of doing something because you're only depositing funds. And don't treat it like a checking account. We do this for our tithe. We put it in a separate bank because we had an issue where our our debit card got frauded. And so money came out of the account. And it was the tithe. I had that account, tithe money was there and just waiting to me write a check and it comes out. And then the other bills are paid. You know how you do that. Well, when that happened, I said, never again. We put the tithe in another bank altogether so that, we just keep it separate like that. Let me tell you why this is important. I've had 2 occasions where I've had to change 3, 4. Well, just recently we had a charge show up coming from Amazon for $0. That's when they're testing to see if it's a viable account. And so I went flying to the bank. I said, hey, and they saw it. They immediately closed the account and issued me another card. That just happened a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It was on my wife's debit card. And so, boom. You have those things happen. I'm building up to a reason that you might possibly use a credit card. Other than that, you need to have a plastectomy if you can't handle it. What is a plastectomy? Cut the card up. If you can't manage it, if that right eye offend thee, okay, all right. So that happened twice on that particular account with the time that we were here in Maryland. And one time it happened, and these expenses were coming from someplace in Detroit. People were going to movies, buying this, that, and the other. And that was about $150, maybe $170. And it took 10 days to get that money back. Now, we had an account in Redstone Federal Credit Union in Huntsville. I was supposed to do a workshop for Southern Union for Plan Giving and Trust Services. They sent me the money in advance to cover the travel. $1,500, the hotel, rent a car, whatever, all of it, it was just their money, church money. So I put it in that account in Redstone Federal Credit Union where I felt it was safe. Same bank we kept the tithe and the offering in. Not when it got messed up. This was, when we separated it. All $1,500 of that was gone. The day I'm traveling the next day. So I'm checking, how you check your balances and all of that. So I'm checking and I said, zero? I said, wait a minute. So I'm going, looking at I said, $1,500 go, what in the world? So I went flying to the credit union. And I spoke to the lady and told her, I said, ma'am, we didn't do this. And I said, this money I'm using for travel and I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm scheduled to leave tomorrow. She said, sir, our policy is 10 days. And I said, ma'am, I work for the church. And this money is travel money so I can go do a workshop for other believers. Anything you can do, sir, the policy is. I said, the Lord will bless you. By the end of the day, by 5 o'clock, every dime was back in the account. God did that over policy. I worked for South Central Conference. We only got paid once a month, which was good because it's easy to budget like that. So by the 25th, check, you see the money's there, and you can manage tithe, offering, that account, rest of the stuff we handle. You could download on the employee website a form where you can change your bank account. Someone got into that, used my name, downloaded the form, and put in another bank account. On the 25th of that month, I'm checking. Saints, do you know how it feels when the eagle didn't fly? Can anybody attest to the money not being there? Do I have a witness in the house that could at least understand what I'm saying? The money's supposed to be there. It's electronic deposit, and it's not there. And so I said, well, maybe it'll be in tomorrow, And so I'm looking at that. So the next day comes, and still nothing. And I'm beginning to get a little concerned. So then I call the assistant treasurer. I didn't call, I sent a text. Is there a little delay? I'm trying to be diplomatic about it. I need my money. I didn't say it like that. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. No, I really didn't. I just asked her. I said, is there any? And there was a pause in the response. She said, didn't you fill out a change of account? No. And then there was another pause. I woke up the Treasury Department. They had to issue me a check, and they sent it to me overnight. That's how our church takes care of us. And then they began to try to track down what happened. I wanted to know who went into a bank. I was flaming mad. I was hip deep mad because it makes me look bad. Like I maybe did that so I could get an extra salary. Literally I was, and again, the enemy attacks. They took care of it. But again, it just showed they had to restructure the employee website and put another level of protection so that that wouldn't happen again. I'm just giving you these examples for you to have to understand that there is a reason to have money in an account for emergencies. So I had to fall back on the amount that we get every pay period. I had the amount in another account so that we could do regular business until the check came from the conference. Important to have an emergency fund for a true emergency, not a made-up emergency. So open it, put it in another account, and then treat it. Don't treat it like a checking account. Why? As soon as you start putting it away, something happens to your psyche. Now you're building wealth. Every dollar you save, you're building wealth. Don't touch it. How did she do it? Save thousands. People wanted to know how she did it. What was her simple secret? Miss McCarty acquired a $150,000 gift by carefully saving from her earning, made washing and ironing clothes over a span of how long? 50 years. Working and saving early in life. So if you're a young person, if you grab these principles, you can be a millionaire. Bingo. And it's okay. Miss McCarty started working and saving at a very young age. Beginning when she was 8, she spent her afternoon hours washing and ironing clothes beside her mother and grandmother and aunt to help make ends meet. Her secret to building wealth, building a fortune, was compounding interest. So in other words, what happened, she started saving, then she got a certain amount, and I'm sure she was encouraged by her banker, you can put this in a higher interest earning account. And the more you get, you can transfer that to a higher interest earning account. And then if you leave it there, it just earns for you. Compound, that's the kind of interest you want. You don't want the interest that you pay with a credit card. Whenever you borrow money, believe me that whoever loans you the money is going to get theirs first. When you get an amortization schedule from whoever is loaning you the money, the majority of the payment is the interest. And over time, the interest dwindles down. And then, so if you want to help beat that, you should every now and then make a principal payment and tell the bank or whoever it is that you want this to go on the principal. If you do that every other month, or if you do that consistently, you can cut your 30-year mortgage down to 20 years or 18, whatever, and all that interest is what you save. Interest is what builds the big buildings. That's how insurance companies make money. Banks make money by loaning you money. And they've gotten to the point where they will loan anybody money, almost. Kids have credit cards. They market them in high school. I was doing a seminar like this, and I was talking about, there's a screen that's going to come up, talk about kids and credit cards. And I started talking about it, and they whipped out their credit cards and showed me. It's not the ones that make the big money, but the ones who know how to save who get ahead. You've got to leave your investment alone long enough for it to what? Everybody say increase. Okay, I just got you to do what to do in the First Day Church. 10 minutes? Okay, all right. And then we'll pick up, yeah. So all of this is related. Stephanie Bullock was the first person to benefit. It inspired many others to give more than $380,000 to her scholarship fund, to Miss McCarty. Even they named the building after her. That's a 253% return on her money. Her simple, secret, regular saving, this is just one way to invest, all right? and compounded interest, okay? So live within your income. Around 2003, Michelle Singletary wrote this book, Money Mantras, which is still available today. But number one, evaluate your spending, okay? Whether too much of your income is being devoted to serving to pay debt and for personal property. If you're wearing it, it's not an asset. I don't need to say anything else. 4 types of net worth. There are 4 types of assets that make up your net worth. 3 of them don't require you to rent self-storage space to store your stuff. Appreciating assets. These are the ones you want. Cash or other financial assets that can easily, quickly convert it to cash. Liquid assets include checking, savings, money market accounts, and certificates of deposit. And then other appreciating investment assets, assets held for their potential to appreciate, stocks, bonds, money market, mutual funds, all right? Then real property, land and the things that are attached to it, your house and so forth, all right? But cars, as beautiful as that Corvette is, and we love cars, don't we? It depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot. Now, if you keep it 30 years, you know what I mean. Automobiles, furniture, clothing, and electronic equipment depreciates immediately. So you immediately lose value the moment you walk out of the store, the moment you drive off the lot. Curtail your love to consume. Reduce the amount for personal property. If your only assets are in a storage, you're in trouble. Unless you wouldn't keep gold and silver in a storage facility. I hope you wouldn't. And so some people have so much stuff, and they think that they're going to they think they're going to pass that on to their children. I was in a setting like this, and there was young people and adults. And so I asked the young people, I said, do you want your mom's stuff or your dad's stuff? They said, and one of them told you don't, no. They don't want it. So you don't save it for them. Take it to Goodwill or whatever the places are called here. If it's cash, they want it. If it's silver and gold, they want it. But if it's furniture, an old stereo that still plays vinyl records, even though that has come back, they don't want it. Now, they may take the stereo because some of them are into vinyl now. So, in other words, get rid of the stuff. Get rid of it. Ellen White, Adventist Home, 375. You ought to, and I probably can end on this. Yeah. And then tomorrow we continue because all of this is within the realm of the same thing. You ought to be careful that your expenses do not exceed your income. And here is the qualifying statement. Bind about your wants. That means you've got to have a conversation with yourself about stuff you want. Yeah. And I have those conversations when I go in Walmart. Yeah. I always see stuff that I don't need and stuff that I want. Like a dozen of donuts. Do I need a dozen of donuts? No. Do I want one of the dozen? Yes. So I put it in the cart. And I'm going through the store. And the music is designed to make you spend. So you're going through there, the closer I get to you, grabbing stuff and throwing it in the cart. Yeah, we can have this. Don't ever go shopping when you're hungry. Because you will buy stuff you really don't need, potato chips and all. Look at you, see, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to, share where we all live. potato chips, popcorn, whatever it is, something grab quick. I'm going to go home and sit down, grab the remote and throw my leg up and enjoy. Get a half a pint of ice cream. I'm having a conversation with myself, but remember proto-kairotic living. And the master is saying, do you really need that? Yeah, Lord, I'll just eat one donut. And guess what? I'll get a half a gallon of silk so I can have silk and donuts. Doesn't that work? And by the time I get to where you put your stuff on the belt, I put it on the side. Because conscious making sense says, don't buy this. You don't need it. And so I put it back. But we have conversations with ourselves when it comes to buying things. And so buying about your wants only can happen if you have a conversation with the master and he helps us. Whenever I buy a car, he helps me. I pray. I research. I look at a whole bunch of vehicles on the same line. See which one I can get the best deal on. Then I pray. And then I have my price lower than what they're asking. And I say, okay, Lord, here it is. Now, it may take me 2 weeks to do that. One time I did that and I walked on the lot, made the deal, and they wouldn't come down to that price, and I got up and walked out. And the car sat there for a whole 30 days. Nobody bought it. I went to about 5 or 6 or 7, 8 dealerships. I went to Birmingham, which is about an hour and a half south of Huntsville. I went to Nashville, which is an hour and 45 minutes north where I worked. And I looked at the car lots up there. I was checking everywhere, test driving this, test driving that. And it all came back to that one car. And I went back 30 days later, put $5,000 down on it. They almost broke their necks. But I eventually got it, but it was certified, so everything, if anything was wrong with it, they covered it. The year was 2007. The car was a 2003. It's sitting at the airport in Birmingham. In Baltimore, BWI, waiting for me to come home to drive it back to the house. It had 18,000 miles on it when I bought it. It has 197,000 miles on it right now. And when I drove it to Baltimore, you have to have your car inspected when you change states. The mechanic said, I've never seen a car in such shape. Well, most of the miles would be driving around South Central, at least 100,000 of them. So that was good miles. And I regularly maintained it. Changed the oil every 3,000 miles, whenever the brakes needed to be done, whenever I needed tires, rotated the tires regularly. Whatever needed to be done, I did it. And we still have the vehicle today. The Lord helped me get it. So we still have it. It's about time now to move on, but I don't want to do anything. I want to keep the car. But I just put some money in it. Bind about your wants. I don't care what it is. Think it through and walk away from it. See if you feel the same way the next morning. And if it's something that you really need, then figure out a way to get it cheaper. Cash is always better to pay in cash because you can get it at a reduced rate. All right? Okay, I'll stop right here. Rethink your grocery basket. All right, Pastor? We'll pick it up here in the AM. Stay tuned.
All right, so we just want to say thank you to Pastor Harpe for sharing great information with us. I think that we have learned so much, this evening. I don't know if anybody would have any questions, but Pastor Harpe, I think it's appropriate if we would add another 10 minutes or for folks who may want to ask questions. Anyone would like to
Fire
ask
away.
a question at this moment? Or do you just want to go home?
We want to go home.
Okay. You have a question on this? Oh, okay.
What did he say?
The grocery basket.
Oh, you want to take 5 minutes from the grocery basket?
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So anyone else? Going once? Okay.
Want to see the grocery basket?
All right, good. All right.
Don't shop when you're hungry. Don't shop when you're angry. You'll buy stuff you don't need. I remember Dave Ramsey had a story where this lady was separating from her husband, and it was a mess with the children and all of that. And every time she had an encounter with him, she'd go buy a pair of shoes. And men do this too, so I don't want to, it's like I'm picking on women. And so they opened up the closet, and there were hundreds of shoes. So they put them on eBay. They, try to get rid of it to help reduce the debt. But I'm just saying, don't shop when you're frustrated or angry. Okay, rethink your grocery basket. Oh, turn it on. Some people walk down the aisle with their shopping cart and simply grab things and throw them in. No list, no thinking. Please make out a list, even if it's a mental list, or put it on your phone. I tell my wife, text me. I'm going to stop at so-and-so at ShopRite, text me the stuff we need. And that's what I get. But there are times when I get everything that's on her list, but then I have a list. Do you do that? Do you get everything on the list and you say, now I can play. I can get some things I want. I try to stick to the list, but there are times that I'll grab a few extra things. I say, well, we need this, we need that. And I keep a mental mind because I go to the big, I don't know if they have Sam's Club here where you can buy larger, yes, the Costco, stuff that lasts longer. So when it's paper products, I go when I need paper products and plastic. So I will go and buy the large containers of the trash bags, and I keep a mental note in my mind of when that stuff is getting down, when it's time to replace it. So if I go to a place like that and she gives me a list, I know I need to get this, and this too. Do a list, and there they are, the Rugrats. Have you seen kids going down the aisle grabbing stuff, and they grab the stuff that's expensive? And look, they put the stuff in certain in certain locations, certain heights, so that the kids can reach it. And when you get to the checkout to put it on that belt, there's stuff there that you can reach. I haven't had a payday in years. Let me taste one. It's just stuff all over the place for you to grab. It's set up like that intentionally. All right? Nothing more than a shoulder shrug from the parents. Some of that stuff is expensive. There are things you can buy that are healthier and more economical. Pay attention to the small stuff. Some people are nickel and diming themselves into debt. If you want to create wealth, you have to pay attention to the small stuff. Look at the prices. Compare prices. Compare brands. So that you can, and especially now because we notice that what do they call it? I can't say it. Shrinkflation, whatever. It's where you buy something and it's smaller than it was a year ago. Yeah, shrinkflation, whatever. Inflation, that's it, shrinkflation. That's it, shrinkflation. I got it. Say it 6 times fast. And it irks me because it makes it seem like you are ignorant to the fact that they have made it a smaller box and less, and it's the same price or more. To me, just tell me we're going to charge you more. I can deal with that instead of you trying to lie to me, make me think that I'm getting something. And, I bought they have these Morning Star patties, look, sausage patties, and I was going to the store, and when I went in to get them, the box used to be like this. And when I went in there, I said, wait a minute, this is a little bitty box, same price. And so that's going on. So you want to compare to see if there's something else that is just as good, but a little less expensive. Very, very, very important. Stop eating out. Now, when it's time to what I call detox debt or get out of debt, and you're into that process, you want to stop eating out because that's an expense that you can do without. All right? Also, you want to cut the desserts. This is when you're in debt snowball mode. I'm going to get out of debt. And if it takes me 2 years or a year and a half or whatever, that's my focus. And then so I'm going to cut this out. It'll help me save some calories as well. But about $750 you can save on a year, and $1,200 to $1,300 with eating out. Nothing wrong with eating out. It's just that it's the expense of it. For this time when you say, hey, we're going to do this, so we're going to cut out eating out for however long we're going to spend toward this eliminating debt. And it is possible. People are doing it every day. So we'll stop here, get organized, spend less than you earn, save a little every pay period, avoid debt like what? Yeah, interest is one expense you can live without. And just in case you missed the point, avoid debt like COVID. If you missed it, look at their expressions. Does that tell you something's wrong? Oh my gosh. Avoid it. Avoid debt like COVID. All right. And so tomorrow we'll pick up here, detoxing debt. Anybody know what detoxing is? Cleansing. You want to put a move put a clamp on debt. So we'll pick up here tomorrow. Pastor? Okay, let's pray. Father, thank you for this time that we've spent talking about finances. We pray that someone has gotten something that will be helpful. And we pray as we pick up here tomorrow, take everyone home safely. In Jesus' name, amen. Don't forget you can download that budget sheet if you desire. You go to our website, Stupid Money TV, and then click on resources, and you can download that and literally start the process. Start saving your receipts now.
Thank you, Pastor Hart. We appreciate Pastor Hart coming out. Now, this is not the end of it.